Okay, good afternoon. Today I have a very interesting question for the CAT aspirants here. Basically, this question is very, once you look at the first time, when you look at this question for the first time, you will feel like, oh my god, this is a very complicated question. I'm not gonna waste time on this one. But the thing is, this question is actually very easy. Okay, so basically what it states is that a person covers a distance of 450 kilometers partly by train and partly by car. If he travels 100 kilometers by train, rest by car, it takes 8 hours. And if he covers 170 kilometers by train and rest by car, it takes 8 hours 12 minutes to cover the distance. Find the speed of the train. Okay, so now first thing you need to understand what the question is saying. Basically, if a guy travels 100 kilometers from train, he is traveling 350 kilometers from car, and both combining it takes time 8 hours. If he traveled 170 kilometers in train and 280 kilometers in car, he travels 8 hours and 12 minutes are taken. If you write this question like this, you see some differences, right? For example, if he is traveling 100 kilometers per hour using train, then there is a 70. If he travels 70 kilometers more from train, which is 170, there is a time increase of 12 minutes. Just remember this point, because this point is very important. If you actually understand this, if the man travels 70 kilometers from train extra, we get extra 12 minutes. Okay, so basically the thing is that speed of the train is low compared to car, it's less. Okay, now what if I did like this? Rather than making equations and solving it in variables, we don't have that much time in CAT. We have to make things simple. Rather than doing that, what if I look at this equation? Okay, only this one. 170 kilometer travel by train, 280 kilometers travel by car, this much time is taken. What if I make this 280 kilometers 0 kilometers? What if I make this one 0 kilometers and I add that 280 kilometers here in the train? Okay, so now we know when 70 kilometers were added, this was a 12 minutes increase in time taken. So 70 kilometers equal 12 minutes. So what if I add 280 kilometers and it is traveling by train? So we know that when 70 kilometers were added, it takes 12 minutes. Okay, so if I multiply 70 into 4 for this 280, we get 280 kilometers, because it is 4 times of 70, right? So first, if this is 4 kilometer, we get 280, then 12 minutes multiplied by 4, it is 48 minutes. Very simple. So if 450 kilometers are traveled only by train, it will take 9 hours. How this 9 hours come? This 48 is added in this time. 8 hours 12 minutes plus 48, it's 9 hours. And from here onwards, the question is very simple. Speed is equals to distance upon time. Distance is 450 kilometers of train divided by 9 hours, and we get 50 kilometer per hour speed of the train. So this was very simple question. So I decided to take one more question for the record. Here we have some interesting question, and this question is also in R.S. Agarwal book, and it's a very simple question, but many times it is very much confusing for students to solve these type of questions because of poor vocabulary. So now a dog takes 4 leaps. What is leaps? I actually asked, there's a funny story here. I actually asked one of my students what is the meaning of this leap. He thought it was dog sleeps for 4 times. So if that means if he sleeps for every 5 leaps, so basically he thought the meaning of leap is sleep, which is very funny for me. So anyone who is looking for CAT aspirants, anyone who is actually giving exam for 2024 CAT, please work on your vocabulary first, because if your vocabulary is poor, you might not able to solve these type of questions. And it is very easy question once you know the meaning behind it. Leaps means jump. Okay, so the dog takes 4 jumps for every 5 jumps of the hare. So let us say dog and hare. If dog jumps 4 times, right, hare jumps 5 times. So basically every 4 jumps, whatever the time which is required for a dog to jump 4 times is equal to the time which is required for hare to jump 5 times. So in this type of question, instantly it is clicked that time is constant. Okay, now it is like my student, if you guys also don't know what the meaning of leap is, and you consider this word as sleeps, then the question is, you don't even understand the question in the first place, so how you're going to solve it, right? So the dog takes leaps, which is jump. So basically dog is taking 4 jumps and hare is taking 5 jumps. So both time, the time which is required for the dog to jump 4 times is equal to the time which is required for the hare to jump 5 times. Very simple. With this thing we know that the time is constant, and you know, if the time is constant, distance and speed ratios are equal. Okay, now let us move forward. But 3 leaps of dogs are equal to 4 leaps of the hare. What it is saying is that if the dog jumps 3 times, that distance which is covered from that 3 jumps, the hare, it covers the same distance for 5 jumps. Okay, so here it is the distance given. Okay, but we don't know how much distance the dog or a hare cover in one jump. We don't know what is the distance of a one leap. So we just consider that for dog we consider D, and for hare we consider H. Okay, so basically the distance is, for one leap distance, it's 3 into D upon 4 into H. Okay, so basically this is the distance 3 into D. If I multiply 3 into D and 4 into H, I will get the distance, total distance of 3 jumps and 4 jumps of dog and hare. So if I want to calculate this D and H, basically one leap distance, okay, so D by H is equals to 4 by 3. This will go reciprocal here, and now this is the distance of one leap. Okay, very careful, this is a very simple sum, even a 3-year-old boy can solve it, but you have to be very concentrative about the learning. This is the distance of covered for 3 jumps of dog and 4 jumps of hare. This is the single. Okay, we have calculated the single leap distance, which is 4 by 3. That is the distance. Okay, now since we know the one leap distance, which is for dog and hare ratio, which is 4 and 3, the question it is written itself, a dog takes 4 leaps, okay, for every 5 leaps of hare. So what we do, we will calculate this distance. How much distance is this? 4, because in ratio dogs, one leap ratio is 4. So 4 into 4, we get 16. We are just calculating this distance, first line distance. 4 into 4, it's 16. 5 into 3, 5. Now where this 5 came from? This one. Every 5 leaps. We are calculating this distance. So 5 into 3, which is 15. So we get the distance ratio, which is 16 by 15. But this distance ratio, but in the question it is asked what is the ratio of speed, right? We don't want to calculate distance. Why have I calculated distance? The reason is very simple, guys. In the question, time is constant. If the time is constant, the ratio of distance is equals to the ratio of speed. So this thing is actually the speed of both the animals. I hope the concept is very clear. These are very simple questions, and these type of questions came in CAT every year. So yeah, thank you very much. Bye.